I'm live. It says I'm live on all three platforms before 4 o'clock. Fantastic. If you're here with me live, I'm so excited to have you here today. Have a new little setup. I'm using StreamYard. You can tell me if it really works. But we are here to talk about goals. I knew there wouldn't. I knew there would be some interesting thing going on. Hold on, just a second. All right. All right. Now I've got the wonderful presentation up. And we are going to talk about setting goals. I know it's the middle of the year, but it's never too late to begin again because we want the end of the year to be something we can be excited about and proud of, because even if you started late, even if you didn't pick up steam at the beginning part of the year, you were able to come in midway, halfway point, and take the ball to the finish line and reach your goals and dreams. So, as an introduction, we're going to go over who I am, and then we're going to talk about setting goals and some techniques that are used commonly, and SMART goals, and then my techniques and questions. I am going to figure out how I can see the chat. That might not happen today, but if you are an expert in StreamYard, I would love to know how I can see that. Let's see, StreamYard. All right, let's see here. Let me make sure on Facebook everything is happening in the right way. Wait, I am live. I can see myself live here. Awesome. Okay. Sorry for these difficulties. Let me see. Do I still have my little lo-fi music? There we go. And I'm going to turn that down on my end, so only you can hear it. Okay. So, once again, if you're a pro on StreamYard and you can tell me about the comments section, I would love to find out about that, but we're going to keep on going. So, I am Angelina Soul, and I just want you to know I feel qualified. I am qualified to talk about goals because just some of things that I've been able to do over the years. I was able to visit Cuba legally, which is hard to do. I've written a 500-page novel. I've published 9 other books. I speak 2 foreign languages. I've lived overseas. Let's see, I have 4 degrees, 2 bachelor's, 2 master's degrees. I was a vice president at Citigroup before I turned 30 years old. I've recorded 150 songs, and I did a weight loss commercial for Bob Harper where I lost 30 pounds in 11 weeks, and 45 other people dropped out. Just a few things that I've accomplished, and I had a 6-pack, which I'm working on again, but I can help you get to your goals because I know what it takes and I've done it before. So that's who I am, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you and you reaching your goals. So the first thing that you need to do is figure out what it is that you want. What is it that you want to accomplish? And as we're going through this series week by week, I want you to have the biggest life-changing goal in mind. that is the one I would love for you to start to work on. And it's something that excites you. So if you're wondering what should this goal be in, it could be in one of the following areas. So that's in spirituality, in your career, finance, money. That's always a big one. Personal growth, health, your relationships with your friends, your family. Could be a romantic relationship, one that you want to improve or one you want to start. And your social life. Maybe you want to take more trips. Maybe you want to do more things that are milestones in your life. Maybe those are some of your goals. But these are the main areas where all of us have desires and want to accomplish. So I want you to pick the one to three that are the most important to you, and they are going to be in these areas. So I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Spirituality, is it your career? You want to start a new business? Finance, money, personal growth, health, friends and family, your relationships, your romantic relationships, your social life, fun, and recreation. So one popular method is to use the SMART goals method in planning out your goals. So we're going to review that now. If you are not familiar with it, SMART is an acronym. S stands for specific. And what do we mean by specific? I want to run. I want to be a runner. Something more specific, I want to run a 10K in the next 90 days. Prepared enough to be able to run a 10K without walking in the next 90 days. That's something very specific. Measurable. How will you know you have accomplished this goal? How will you know you're hitting milestones for this goal? So if I'm trying to run a 10K, then maybe a milestone is when I hit a 5K. How many days does it take me to get to a 5K where I feel comfortable as I am running? And then building from there. A is achievable. If I don't run at all, not at all, and I do happen to hate running, just incidentally, but if I don't run at all, if I haven't done any exercise whatsoever, is it really achievable for me to believe I can do a 10K in 90 days? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that is for you to decide. R is relevant. Is this something that aligns with your values and your purpose, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as far as value alignment? And then T means it is time-based. It's going to happen in 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, 1 year. You've got a deadline from when this is going to take place. Going back to achievable, I don't believe in setting realistic goals because there's no fun and excitement in that. And when you set a realistic goal and you don't hit it, then there's no power behind that. It's like, it wasn't that important to me. But when you set an exciting goal, something that just makes your heart pound, then you are more likely to work through the obstacles and difficulties to get to that goal because it is more compelling, because it is more exciting. And the best part is, if you fall short of that goal, you are still further along than you would have been if you had set a regular type of goal. So I want to highly encourage you, when you're thinking about this, how do you make this bigger? How do you make this more exciting? Not just a regular achievable goal. So the next piece is, I want you to rate your personal values. from 1 to 10. And the reason why I want you to do this is because sometimes our goals are in conflict with our values. So this will help you see if you are in alignment value-wise with this thing that you want to achieve. So in no order, the order I would like you to put it in is the order that is most important to you. But we have here love, success, freedom, security, intimacy, adventure, power or control, passion, comfort, and health. So take a moment now to put these in the order of importance from 1 to 10. Turn up my little background music and give you a moment to do that. You want to think about what is most important to you. And we're going to focus on your top 3. Okay, so now that you have your top 3 values, I want you to look at them compared to this goal that you want to accomplish. So let's say your goal is you want to start a new business, but your top 3 values are security, comfort, and let's just say love or intimacy. Let's say intimacy. So now if security and comfort and intimacy are your top 3, and you want to start a new business, can you think of offhand why that might be a contradiction or where there may be problems? Because when you're starting a new business, there is not a lot of security in that. It's uncharted territory. It is about taking risks. So if you're all about not taking risks, this is going to be more difficult for you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just be aware of that kind of inner obstacle to begin with. Intimacy is important to you. If you're starting a business, you may take more time away from intimacy that you may have with your loved ones. That means you are going to have to sacrifice part of your time that would have been reserved for that in order to put that time into your business. Again, this is a conflict. So you want to be aware of that in advance so that maybe you're talking to your partner and saying, hey, I need you to be on board with me with this. Maybe you can help me with this. Maybe we can do this together, because otherwise that time is going to be taken away. If this is a business where it's high risk, maybe you want to get into something that is not as risky so that you won't be triggered into not taking any action at all. So you just want to make sure that you are aware of these values. And it doesn't mean you don't move forward with the goal. It just means you're going to have to make some adjustments emotionally in order to create that alignment. Because a lot of times we can start procrastinating and wondering, why is this so hard? Why? Well, it's going against one of our core values. It's going against who we think we are as people. And that is why it's difficult or more difficult. So the first technique that I want to talk about is increasing your passion level for what it is that you want. Okay? You want to get excited about this goal. What is it that you're going to be able to do once it is achieved? How are things going to look? What does it look like on the other side? So I want you to take time out to paint that exciting picture of what it looks like once this goal is accomplished. Because if you can't get excited about it, it's going to be very difficult to stick through what you may have to do in order to get there. Also, you want to determine whether or not you're the kind of person who is motivated by pain, or are you motivated by pleasure? If you're motivated by pain, that means, let's say my goal is to run. My friend has to pay, or I have to pay my friend $5 every time I don't run. And I don't want to pay my friend $5 every time I don't run, so I'm going to run. So that is like a pain motivator. Pleasure. Oh, I'm going to reward myself with, no, not food. I'm going to reward myself with a trip to the store. I'm going to spend $20 on something totally silly because I ran every single day for an hour a day. I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to get excited about that treat I'm going to give myself from that. So you want to use these psychological tactics. Are you rewarded, or are you motivated by pain, or are you motivated by pleasure? Because that is going to help you. Now, my little Biggest Loser story. There was a show, in case you didn't know, there was a show called The Biggest Loser. And on this wonderful show, there were people who weighed varying rates from 200 to maybe 500 pounds. And they were all told by the doctor on the show, you know what, Billy, if you don't make a change, you are not going to be able to walk your daughter down the aisle, because you're not going to be here. Sally, you could have all of these chronic illnesses, diabetes, and you know how serious that is with diabetes, all of these negative things. And these people on the show already knew this. They already had that information. It might help if I have the microphone, huh? They already knew this information. So what happened? What happened with The Biggest Loser? Well, they were offered $250,000 if they got to the lowest weight out of everybody else. And that motivated everyone. It wasn't death. It wasn't what they wouldn't be able to do. It was the $250,000. Why? Because everybody could imagine what could happen in their life with $250,000. Maybe people were thinking, oh my gosh, I could start my dream business. I could buy another house. A lot of these people were already homeowners. Or we could upgrade. I can finally do these things we've always wanted to do, travel, get our kids in private school. I don't know what their dreams were, but they were big enough on that other side that they were willing to do whatever it took to take that weight off, to get to that 250. So that is the level of excitement. It's not that the goal changed. Lose weight, get healthy, that's the same. But it's the motivation of what's going to happen afterwards. So that is what I want you to be able to do. I want you to attach something amazing and exciting that's going to happen when this goal is achieved, so that you push through. These people all had full-time jobs. They were working out in the mornings when they had to go back home. They were working out at night. They monitored their diets. They made the sacrifices necessary to hit the goal because it was so big and it was going to be so extraordinary that it was going to be worth it. The second technique that I want you to implement is what I call ask and tell. Ask and tell. And it's so funny because I was thinking about this the other day. When I first moved to LA, I really wanted to purchase a house. And I found a loan officer, and this loan officer connected me with a realtor. And the realtor was a horrible little man. Okay, he wasn't a little man, but he was a horrible man, a little bit racist. And he was showing me all of these weird little funky places that I had no interest in. And I was very clear about what I wanted. I wanted a house. And afterwards, I didn't see anything I liked and I gave up. But if I had continued to ask and tell other people, certainly someone would have said, did you know you could just get a new realtor? Did you know you could just get a different loan officer? You don't have to stick with them, just those two people. But I didn't ask and I didn't tell. So I made it up in my mind that was, if I don't like anything and this is the guy, then I guess it just can't happen. How awful is that? I don't want you to have that experience. So when you are looking at your goal, ask people about how you might be able to make it happen more quickly, easily. Maybe they can help you facilitate it, and tell people about this goal. Now, if you've got people in your life who aren't going to support you and they're going to be negative and naysayers and they're not going to believe in your dreams, those aren't the people you tell. No. You want to tell people who are going to support you. But I am saying you open that up to strangers because they may be the ones who have the information you need. So when I wanted to go to Cuba, it's illegal to go to Cuba. At least it was then, probably is now once again. And the only way you can go to Cuba is if you are going through a group as a cultural trip. And I think if religious trip, you can also go there legally. But otherwise, what a lot of people do is they go through Mexico and they get their passport stamped in Mexico and make sure that they do not get it stamped in Cuba. And they also run the risk of having a it happens to be the same amount of money, $250,000 fine from the government of the United States and potential jail time if you are caught going to Cuba and coming back illegally. I'm like, I'm not going to jail. I'm not doing that. I want to go, but not that badly. So I ended up telling a fellow coworker, just randomly. I didn't think she would have any information that would help me at all. But she said, oh, you know what? There's someone who works in a different building and she can probably help you get a visa. Let's set up a tea. And so we had tea and this woman said, yes, you just need to talk to George and he can probably get you the right type of visa. So I contact George and I tell him my story. I tell him my dream. I want to sing in Cuba. I want to write music in Cuba. And he said, oh, well, we can get you an artist visa. And they have some requirements when you get an artist visa. It's kind of lovely requirements, actually. You're supposed to keep a journal of all the wonderful things that happen to you when you're in Cuba and all of the experiences you have. I'm like, I can do that. I can keep a journal so I can share it with others. And then later on, a friend of mine and I went to New York. My best friend and I went to New York, to be specific. And we were in the rain and we ducked into this little wine bar. And the guy said, oh my gosh, you can't come in here. You're just trying to get out of the rain. It's like, oh no, we're here to have a glass of wine, which was a lie, but that's okay. We ended up having a glass anyway. And later on, as we were sitting there, I said to him, you know what? I can't believe you didn't believe us about wanting to be in such a lovely, gorgeous, beautiful place. And we started talking, and I told him my dream. You know what? I really would love to go to Cuba. And he said, I lived in Cuba. In fact, I stayed with this family, and I bet they would house you as well. You know what? Send me an email, and I will put you in contact with them. Now, that's not necessarily an easy task because at that time, the people in Cuba did not have easy internet access. You can't just email and call, things are restricted. So I was able to email them and I show up at their door, couple of months later, and they said, "Oh, you're friends with him. Oh, how is he doing?" They thought we were old dear friends. And it turns out they coordinated so many amazing things during that trip. I was able to meet with a guitarist who was known in Cuba. We wrote a song together. We performed the song at a club. I met famous Cuban musicians. I went into a recording session. I got to meet Sting's guitarist. All kinds of wonderful things happened during this trip, but it was only because I happened to tell. I happened to ask strangers and people I knew who I did not think would be able to help me in any kind of way, and they had the information I needed in order to make this dream of mine a reality. So that is what I want you to do. I want you to think about, okay, I could just mention this randomly. If you're in any groups, maybe you take classes or people at work, just mention your dream. Again, keeping in mind that these are safe spaces where you can mention this goal or dream that you have. But those people can push that dream into a reality maybe much more quickly than you could have it on your own. All right. Number 3, commitment forward action. What in the world does that mean? It means that you want to kind of obligate yourself into a situation where you can't say no, where you're not going to back down. Okay, so that means maybe getting somebody else involved that you would never ever disappoint. Putting it out there to the public so that other people keep you accountable. If part of your goal would be more easily facilitated with another person, right? Let's say you're going to shoot some videos, for example, and it would be really great if somebody were to hold the camera or help you along with the lighting, but you're afraid to do it. I don't want to do it. I want to shoot these videos. So then you ask a friend, hey, next Saturday at 2 p.m., could you help me shoot these videos? And even if you don't want to do it, even if you're not ready, this person says, yes, I will absolutely do it. I'm going to block out my calendar. I'm going to not do something else so that I can come and help you. You will follow through because you're not going to disappoint that other person who's made a sacrifice in order to help you. So that's commitment forward action. It's putting yourself into a situation where you know you are not going to back out because maybe something else is at stake or some other people are involved. Ooh, juicy. Okay. Let's see here. The next thing is accountability. And you can do this through accountability partners, finding people within a group who are trying to do the same thing. It makes it so much easier if you are around people and talking to people who are going in the same direction that you are going in. It's very difficult when you have a goal and you're the only one doing it. And the people around you in your life might be like, what are you doing? What is that about? Does that even make any sense? No, you want to get people who are going to understand what it is that you're doing. And you can do that with accountability partners, even if someone doesn't know what you're doing, but they're just really supportive of you. Those people might make great accountability partners. Or you find someone that you can pay, a coach, a leader who might even be able to get you there faster than you could get there on your own. Someone who's not going to even, not just make you accountable, but make sure that you take the steps and check on you in such a way that you do what you need to do to make it happen. And that is it for today. When you are designing these goals, the next things we're going to talk about are what are the steps that you need to take in order to make this goal a reality. And because we have wonderful AI tools, I'm going to be covering how you can use AI to develop the steps to help you know exactly what it is that you're going to need to do, and maybe finding ways that it can be even easier to navigate, facilitate, get through, and get done. We're also going to talk about habits that you need to form for these goals that need to be sustained. For example, if you have a goal to lose weight, we all know that once you lose the weight, you still have to keep going because you want to keep it off. You don't want it to come back on. So that means you have to have habits in place every single day to keep that weight off, to maintain that new body that you've worked so hard to get. And a lot of our accomplishments are like that, where we have to continue with the habits in order to sustain and keep this new great thing that we have accomplished. And some of the tasks that you're going to do are either going to be one and done tasks, which are great, right? Or tasks that you're going to have to do repeatedly. And then how do we do those in such a way that it's easier for us to do it? And it's not like, oh my gosh, it's like work every single time. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about in the weeks to come. Please feel free to join me tomorrow for Massive Action Monday. And what is that about? It's about condensing time and getting to the achievement of these goals even faster. Exciting. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so sorry that I could not see any of your comments. Please feel free to send me a message. You can send me on Facebook a private message, on LinkedIn a private message. If you are on YouTube seeing this, please find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Angelina Soul, and send me a message. I am looking forward to connecting with you, and I will see you tomorrow or next Sunday.